Hello there wrestling fans, Adam from What Culture here. I hope you're all doing well on this Monday. Now, it's been a busy couple of days in the wrestling world, hasn't it? We had Elimination Chamber last night, a rather predictable affair unfortunately, but nevertheless we went full steam ahead tonight on Monday Night Raw with a bunch of developments happening on the road to WrestleMania, and a few pieces are starting to fall into place. Now, the big deal here is we've got 3 hours of wrestling off the back of 4 hours of wrestling last night. It can be a pain in the arse for anybody, and I know that you guys are very busy, but you are in luck because little old me's here to do the hard work so you don't have to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those 3 hours, squash them down at this nice bite-sized little ball for you to digest in a very quick period of time, and I'm going to let you know everything that went down on last night's episode of Monday Night Raw. This week's episode opened with the women's champion Alexa Bliss and her new best pal again, Mickie James, as we started to thread the needle for the match between Asuka and Alexa Bliss at WrestleMania. The Goddess and the Empress squared up head-to-head in the ring after Bliss provoked Asuka in her opening promo, but it seemed like this was all just one big ruse. Nia Jax was quick to come down and join James and Bliss and continue where she left off last night after their match where Nia Jax beat the living tar out of Asuka. Before the trio could get very far on beating up Asuka, however, Sasha Banks and Bayley stormed the ring to make the save, and before you know it, yes, you guessed it, we had ourselves a 6-women tag team match, because that never happens on Monday Night Raw. Ever, does it? The match didn't really do much. The good guys got the win, Asuka making Mickie James tap to an armbar, but more importantly, it was designed to set us on the road to WrestleMania for presumably Alexa Bliss and Asuka. And on top of that, we also wanted to reiterate the fact that Sasha Banks and Bayley all is not well there. The divide very much continuing between these two, Banks and Bayley at loggerheads. There was some squabbling mid-match, there was some really strong tags obviously to show the friction between them, and ultimately we reached the point where Bayley just wouldn't help Sasha out at one point in the match, all to suggest that Sasha Banks versus Bayley is happening, and all it is just a question of when. After his loss at the Elimination Chamber last night, Big Match John was quick to take matters into his own hands. He first of all teased a challenge to The Undertaker, and everybody went absolutely mental. The fans lost their shit and went into a frenzy, only for him to take it back and say that that's impossible and he can't do it. But where there's a will, there is a way, and John Cena has a way. As a free agent, he decided and declared that he'll be going to SmackDown Live tomorrow night to try and earn his way onto the grandest stage of them all. Whether that means he's going to end up in the match at Fastlane or something else entirely, we'll have to wait and see about that one. Another journey that seemingly started last night was that of the Intercontinental title, and of course the holder, The Miz. The A-lister delivered another promo in his now trademark art imitating like fashion. Miz is at his best when he's frustrated, and he's airing that on live television, and this was no different. Fed up of being overlooked, fed up of being paid no attention, fed up of being the wrong person on the bloody pay-per-view poster at the airport. I mean, what was all that about? I don't know, but there was a Mike The Miz who was very angry, there was veins coming out of his head, and he wanted to know what was going to be happening with him, the IC title, at WrestleMania. And after a rather strange set of back-to-back matches that didn't really seem to make any sense whatsoever, that is exactly what he got. The Miz faced Seth Rollins, who beat him clean as a whistle, like the cleanest of clean whistles, with a gigantic frog splash from one corner of the ring to the other. It was pretty fucking awesome actually, now that I think about it. And that was the end of that one. The Miz beaten by Seth Rollins, and then all of a sudden Finn Balor came down, his entrance actually like cutting short Seth Rollins' celebrations, and apparently Balor was just wandering in to also have a match with The Miz. There were some shenanigans between the Miztourage and the club. They were both banned from ringside by Kurt Angle, and when it boiled down to it one-on-one, Finn Balor got the win. He beat The Miz again, clean as a goddamn whistle, with the coup de grace. To be honest, I'm not really sure what this was or how it came about or what on earth really, I just don't know what happened. I don't know how we got to that point, but the main thing here is that it looks like we're going to be getting a triple threat match potentially between The Miz, Balor and Rollins at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental Championship. Now, we were expecting a showdown between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Reigns obviously won the right to face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania after his win at the Elimination Chamber last night. I know, aren't we all super happy about it, and even more super surprised by the outcome. The two superstars were billed to meet face to face on tonight's episode, but that never happened, and instead we got something completely different. A Roman Reigns who was trying his best to claim that he was going off script and being a rebellious little tinker and just coming coming from the heart, saying the words that other people won't say, despite someone probably feeding them directly to him, was basically saying that Lesnar hadn't turned up because he was too busy palling around with Dana White of the UFC. The big dog then went on to cut a fairly passionate promo actually, where he attacked Lesnar's character, said he didn't care about the business, said he didn't care about the company or the title or the fans, and that Reigns was one of them guys who loved the company, was born into this business, and that everybody in the back, including him, was frustrated with Lesnar's nonchalant attitude towards being the champ and towards being part of the WWE. Now, despite his best efforts, this is all very much a kayfabe thing, but it's a great angle that they've taken, I think. I think that this is kind of a way to tap into that real life, the perceptions that everybody has of Brock Lesnar, about him not caring about the company and about Reigns really being the company man. It was actually nice to see some fire in the belly of Roman Reigns. He spoke about his family, his heritage, and you can tell he was passionate about it. And to some extent, you can probably imagine that these are frustrations that they've all had, and he was venting them through the story. And as we know from past experience, that is how you get the absolute best out of any feud in any company. Elsewhere, just before we get to the main event, and boy are we going to get to that main event at some point, let me tell you, we had a couple of matches that didn't really need much of a going over, but I will round them up nonetheless. Bray Wyatt, who was even weirder than normal, presumably after his defeat to Woken Matt Hardy, was just kind of in a bit of a bad mood. He was supposed to have a match with Heath Slater, it never happened, but Wyatt was on an absolute tear, beat the bejesus out of him, and then beat the bejesus out of Rhino just for good measure. He was being weird. It wasn't that interesting, to be honest. The Bar defeated Titus Worldwide in a 2 out of 3 falls match, literally a 2-0 clean sweep for them, and nothing else to report really on that one. And as much as it pains me to say this, even the Braun Strowman match against Elias didn't really do much either. We had Braun and Elias had a match. It kind of went back and forward until Elias got disqualified for using a fire extinguisher from under the ring. That kind of spilled out to the back where Braun was chasing him with... They couldn't see much because he had stuff in his eyes, and we got this weird bit where it ended as Braun, like Elias ran away, Braun was by a limousine. We couldn't even see into what was going on in the limousine. Presumably we were supposed to predict that that's Stephanie and Triple H, but it kind of looked like someone just made a mistake. It was a disappointing from Braun Strowman after having such a big, impactful night at the Elimination Chamber. It just felt a bit lacking for me. There wasn't really much going on. And speaking of disappointing, we had the final segment of the show with Ronda Rousey, Triple H, Stephanie, and Kurt Angle. What an absolute shit show this was. Now, take nothing away from Ronda Rousey here. She was much better on the microphone than she was the night before at Elimination Chamber, and she felt like she'd found her character much better. She was badass, she was frowning. Much better from her. Everything else, however, was an absolute mess. We had Triple H and Stephanie, who made Kurt Angle admit that he'd lied about what he'd said the night before, which Angle actually did to Ronda Rousey, claiming he was unwell and that he had pneumonia and he was everything that they basically said he was. Clearly the authority, or Triple H and Stephanie, pulling his strings. Then a pissed off Ronda Rousey demanded a proper apology from Stephanie if everything was going to be okay. Stephanie kind of gave her that. It was super over the top and it was very pantomime, but she gave her the apology almost straight away. And then when she went to leave, the night ended with Triple H. Of course it ended with Triple H, because why would it end with anyone else? We've got Ronda Rousey here, who we want to really get the fans on board with, but let's have Triple H punch Kurt Angle to finish the segment and make him look really strong and really Triple H-y. Will you please, 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 please just f***ing f*** off? And that's a wrap on another episode of What Went Down. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And if you want more content like this, head over to whatculture.com right now, because we've got bloody loads of it. Also, give us a follow on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. And now that my shilling's done for the night, my name is Adam Nicholas. This has been What Went Down. And as always, have a f***ing great day.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe below, and if you're looking for more content like this, then try a few things that are floating about around my ears. It might be fun. I can't promise it though, but it might be.